Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. My name is Andrew DiStefano. This is Putnam County Crime Analysis by way of John Jay College of Criminal Justice. Today's a continuing video on my playlist for YouTube on the Venezuelan criminal gang Tren de Aragua. Tren de Aragua is a South American gang that is on the criminal terrorist watch list, and it's a gang that in the last 4 months or 5 months or so has heavily infiltrated several states, including New York, including this area, New York City in particular. New York City, as we know, is only 60 miles south of Putnam County, and it's only about 20 miles east or so of Danbury, Connecticut, where we know that there's a lot of problems with they're having a South American influx problem of some bad actors. So as I said, today's my second video on the gang, TDA, Tren de Aragua. My focus is on what others are doing, not what others are not on what some are not doing. In other words, New York isn't doing much of anything. In fact, New York, as opposed to the state of Texas, I'm going to talk about today. New York has put South American alleged and what we believe to be South American gang members. They put them up in 5-star hotels in Manhattan, particularly the Roosevelt Hotel, which is sad because we used to know someone who was a manager there several years ago, and we stayed there. And even with her inside price, it was still a very expensive hotel right next to Grand Central Terminal. Now the hotel is totally taken over by migrants. There's a lot of gang activity, from what I'm told by a 1-star chief that I know in the New York City Police Department. Really a sad state of affairs. It was such a beautiful hotel. Now it's went from 5 stars to probably 0 stars, if there's such a thing. So, but they obviously see what I see and so many others see in the state of Texas. And that's that the South American gangs, particularly TDA, Tren de Aragua, is becoming a very serious issue. On September 16th of 2024, which by the filming of this video was yesterday, Governor Abbott of Texas designated Tren de Aragua as a terrorist organization. Now imagine that. That's a state entity, a state declaring a gang a terrorist organization, not the feds. We know the relationship, what they call federalism, which is the relationship between federal government and state government. This is a state which is designating an organization as a terrorist organization. Imagine New York State having done that. Imagine Governor Hochul. Just saying her name makes me laugh. Imagine Governor Hochul taking this sort of action on Tren de Aragua. And the problems that we know we have. We have seen all these videos of South American gang members who they believe to be Tren de Aragua assaulting New York City police officers in Times Square, ganging up on them. Once they start the fight, they come in and, yeah, like cockroaches, and they just come in and swarms of them just coming in, assaulting the cops. One guy just went to jail. He got 1 year in jail for that vicious assault against an NYPD lieutenant. So as I said, Governor Abbott of Texas has declared the Tren de Aragua, the TDA, to be a terrorist organization. Now, I wish with my knowledge and with my schooling over the last decade or so, studying advanced crime analysis on the PhD level and at the master's level, and in some cases on the bachelor's level, I wish you could see what I see and how I see it. This is a serious developing problem. When I explained in my previous video, when I started to look at this gang, I looked at it starting probably in April for school, and there wasn't much on it. There was, a couple of incidents here and there, but there wasn't a single law enforcement organization that had any open investigations into Tren de Aragua. You run the name into the database, and including CourtLink, and there was no active investigations or no active cases involving the Tren de Aragua. But this is incredible. Like I said, we're going to focus on what others are doing, not what we are not doing. And I know, as I said before, we're already doing that. We do that already. We went to some meetings. We have information. We've already spoken to several people. We've already reached out to the community in the village of Brewster. We got a handle on this. We do that already. I said before, I remember when I brought up the issue of data-driven policing at Comstat. And it was, we do that already. We do it every morning. That's what was said in public. We do that every morning at our staff meeting, where we have our coffee and our bagels. Yeah, that's we do it at our staff meeting every morning. You don't do data-driven policing at a staff meeting, but I digress. What do I know? So Governor Abbott has directed his Department of Public Safety, which is the New York State Police of Texas, to elevate Tren de Aragua to a Tier 1 gang and create a TDA strike team, TDA being obviously Tren de Aragua, TDA strike team that will identify and arrest TDA gang members on site. In other words, this gang, just becoming a part of that gang, is a criminal conspiracy. So if they have crimes they can tie to that gang, and they have members they can tie to the gang, they can arrest those members, even if those members did not commit those specific crimes. They use these laws that were RICO, basically, on a federal level, but state has them also. They were used to take down big organized crime groups like the Italian mafia. I do like something that Governor Abbott said. Texas is the wrong state for them to try to do business in. I mean, that's a real leader. That's a real leader. He's putting his money where his mouth is. He's putting his foot down on this. So it's encouraging to see, because we're going to need more of that as this stuff goes on. Unlike MS-13, you can't see these guys come from a mile away. MS-13 has very distinct characteristics that you can identify them with. They have, tattoos all over their face and certain numbers of tattoos, and it's in a certain order, their tattoos. Tren de Aragua does have tattoos. As I said before, they have the skull and crossbones, the guy carrying an AK-47. And they also wear the number 23 Michael Jordan jersey, 23 to signify the gang's birthday, September 23rd. However, gang leadership is thinking one step ahead, and they have told their members, particularly their younger members who are doing the work, so to speak, to not get tattoos, to not leave any identifying markers. This way, nothing can be traced back to the gang. Essentially, they're trying to stay one step ahead of law enforcement. So, what I think, what's scary is that there's no way, and this is really scary. Currently, there's no way to vet these people. None. Zero. There's no actual database of Tren de Aragua members, of Venezuelan gangs. There's no database that's been established. They've just started to get into establishing these databases, but we are so far behind. And we are and because of that, we're so far behind the 8 ball, I would say, because believe it or not, when they get stopped, they're on the honor system. These guys are on the honor system to determine whether or not they are members of Tren de Aragua. I know that in New York City, when they got arrested, New York City detectives, and I mean, New York City has the best detectives in the world. Everybody knows that. In fact, when you go up to 13th floor, One Police Plaza, there's a giant banner. It's been there for years. and it says you're now entering the corridor of the world's best detectives, NYPD, which I was never an NYPD detective, but they are the best. They do get these guys to give up information, and they have, even though they're on the honor system, they have given it up that they are members of South American gangs. They are members of Tren de Aragua. So, other than that, there's no other way to really vet them. What Governor Abbott is doing is part of the law that he is signing, or the things he is signing into law, is he's creating databases for the first time. These databases can be shared to New York State, but currently there's no serious database out there. And this was coming from Border Patrol people in Texas. And according to Border Patrol, Tren de Aragua has already gained footholds in Colorado, as we saw when they took over that housing complex, Michigan, Florida, and get this, New York. They've already gained footholds in New York. They are all over New York City. As I said before, they're living in 5-star accommodations. I can't imagine that's not an excellent recruiting tool for them to come from Venezuela to come here. But and they're military age males. You don't see older people coming, or babies coming. These are military age males. They're basically coming to fight. These guys could serve in the military tomorrow, and they come from, as I explained, they come from Tocaron prison. They are well trained. They are like fighting machines. These guys, and that's all they do from the time they're kids. They're grown to fight like pit bulls. Now, while the open border policy is the cause, at this point, it doesn't matter what the cause is, because when you're a member of law enforcement, you're not supposed to be looking at the politics of it. You're just supposed to deal with what's in front of you. Apparently, talking about the open border crisis has become a political football, but that's not the way it is in professional law enforcement. There are no politics in law enforcement. It doesn't matter how it happened. It only matters that it happened. And it matters that we have to do something about it now to get Tren de Aragua issue under control, or else it's going to become so entrenched that we're not going to be able to do anything about it. So Texas has formed a strike team to bring to bear their full weight and resources against the South American gangs. And they're dedicating hundreds of cops and state agents, Texas Rangers, to surge resources at the first indication of a TDA problem. In the New York City Police Department, when there's a shooting in a housing project, they surge. They have intel databases of what housing project is involved with which gangs. And they know if somebody's involved in the ABC gang and that person just gets shot, then they know who is going to be retaliating, what gang, and they surge resources to go deal with the people that are going to either be the victims or are going to seek vengeance for the shooting. So they basically know ahead of time who the shooters are going to be and who future victims are going to be. Well, the same thing now they're doing in Texas with Tren de Aragua. They're surging hundreds of cops to the first indication of a TDA, of a Tren de Aragua problem. And Texas is creating actual police precincts dedicated 100% to South American gangs, so that this way they can deal with things as they happen and not have to constantly come up with a plan. They have the plans in place, ready to go. And these precincts, not actual buildings, I'm sure they're going to be, not brick and mortar, but they're going to be assigned in certain areas. But that's all they're going to be doing. They are dedicated 100% to South American gangs specifically Tren de Aragua. You know, during my 9/11 prayer, and I am the chaplain of the VFW. In the prayer, I spoke about giving strength to our elected officials, because their sacred responsibility is to make decisions that keep us safe from future attacks. That doesn't just include or refer to Al Qaeda and traditional terrorists. It refers to this. It refers to this stuff too. Our elected officials have a sacred responsibility. We look at what's happening in New York as a state and then locally. You know, Governor Hochul, to my knowledge, has really done nothing about this issue. Mayor Adams has welcomed them in with open arms. The city itself is just awash in corruption and nepotism, and what appears to be bribery and kickbacks from contracts, and it's just a whole mess that they're dealing with. They've lost all moral responsibility and all moral authority. When you lose your moral responsibility, your moral authority, you can't set up things like this. You can't set up operations against Tren de Aragua. And I guess that's why New York has been so slow on it. But as I said, you know, it is an elected official's most sacred responsibility to protect their people. It's not to self-promote. It's not to campaign nonstop. It's not to talk about politics nonstop. It's not to have fundraisers for yourself. It's to protect the people that you're in charge of protecting, no matter what position you hold, from a town board member to the president of the United States. That is your most sacred responsibility. That's why law enforcement is so much different than any other elected positions and appointed positions, because there's no room in law enforcement for any sort of shenanigans. Everybody gets treated the same. Everybody gets treated the way that things are. And when you have an organization like Tren de Aragua that comes into your town, comes into your state, comes into your city, and you have no moral authority, and all you're doing is politics, 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 and now defending yourself against, some wrongdoing. We're really going to be behind the eight ball here in New York, because this stuff is taking hold in New York City, and from New York City, it's just going to grow. Remember, Manhattan controls the whole state. We see that during elections. Manhattan controls the entire New York state. And as I just said, an elected official's most sacred responsibility is to protect the people that they are charged to protect. It is not self-promotion. It's not self-campaigning. It's not fundraising. It's not promoting yourself. It's protecting the people that you are charged to protect. Now, Governor Abbott's actions have added a Senate bill from last year, Bill 1900, about a year ago, and among other things, initiated intelligence databases into Tren de Aragua. So hopefully New York will be able to share in that database and start to build on it. Because, as I said, in New York and in Texas and in Michigan and Florida, we're on, when it comes to Tren de Aragua, TDA, we are in they're on the honor system as far as identification. So what's nice about the database is that it's part of it's part of a national database. It's in the system. And as I said, the translation to that is New York can reference it. Texas Rangers have referred to Tren de Aragua as MS-13 on steroids. That's how bad this is. That's how serious it is. At least MS-13 wasn't shy about who they are. These guys fly under the radar. And they're into very, very sophisticated crimes, not just robberies, But things that happen after robberies, they pull up on the moped, punch you in the face, knock you out, take your cell phone. Then they take it, then they keep tapping it and tapping it to keep it open. They hand it off, and then they're able to clean out your bank accounts within a few minutes. And it has happened in New York City. So what does that say when Texas Rangers, Texas, is saying that MS-13 is I'm sorry, Tren de Aragua is MS-13 on steroids? The overview of what other states are doing, they're being proactive. They're being proactive. We're not. Now, I get it. I get it. We're doing that already. We already do that. Okay. So this sets me up for the next video, what's happening locally. I think you're going to be surprised what I have found out locally, just by looking around, asking around, getting some documents, talking to some people. It really is an eye opener, but it's hopefully this will do well in terms of what's happening locally. I do have some documentation on it, and I think you'll be surprised at what I'm going to show you. Hopefully. But, we do need to expect more, and we need to expect better. So at this point, this is where I cut it off. I am Andrew DiStefano. This has been Putnam County Crime Analysis by way of John Jay College. You have a great day. God bless you.